So good morning. My challenge from Dr. Morgan here is how to get you to be chair in 5 minutes. So with that, the first thing that crossed my mind is, why should someone want to be chair, right? I know there's a lot of chairs on the table here, but I think a lot of deep thought needs to be put in before one decides to be a chair. The second question is, how do you get the job? And then the third question is, what kind of a job are you really looking for, and at what stage of your life should you take one? So I find this tremendously useful. I think Simon Sinek has a great YouTube video on finding your why. This is his less famous book. When you know your why, your how and the what becomes a lot easier. Now, I had to ruminate on this a lot. I had to think about, what drives me in radiology. I quickly found out that experiencing everything that radiology has to offer is really important to me. But I think I'm driven by leaving radiology better than I found it. Even if it's a tiny bit better at the end of my career, I think I would find that fulfilling. So everybody's why is a little bit different. It requires a lot of exploration to figure out what your why is about. I got this pearl from my former chair, Norm Beauchamp. He and I were talking about my annual review, and he told me, I see you as chair someday. I want you to think about the stories you're going to share when you're going through that interview process. And that got me thinking. I said, okay, what stories am I going to tell people? What have I done? How have I helped my department, my institution? What finance things have I done? What faculty development work have I done? How am I going to really help the people? So with that in mind, we embarked on this audacious project of decreasing no-show in our radiology department across the healthcare system. It was a mammoth study. It took about 3+ years to do. We looked at 8 million patient visits, then brought it down to outpatients only, which was again 5 million or so. And then we looked at the numbers, and then it turns out that if we've actually fixed it right, and we've been working on it, and I think the new Epic implementation is helping us, this work can actually help us save $1 million if we actually decrease the no-show rate by only a couple of studies that are most commonly done in the radiology department. So that's one story. But that's not all. A couple of years ago, I got really bored by just doing liver over and over again. And I mean that with a lot of respect. I still do a lot of liver HCC outcomes research, but I find this kind of work tremendously useful. And this is just a sampling. And I think initially I was criticized that you're writing a lot of commentaries not having done this, but a lot of this is actually original leadership work. This has led into several faculty development programs that have even gone overseas through ACER and within AUR, and there's several faculty development programs within the School of Medicine at UW. A couple of big things. I think we all have to learn how to work with people. We all have to learn how to have a presence so that people will believe us and be willing to play along with us. I think this charisma thing is kind of a real deal. I think knowing how to develop others who work with you is a really important skill. And then transitioning into your leadership role, every leader will tell you that their first year into a bigger leadership role was longer than a year. That year just didn't seem to end. So I think preparing and just realizing how hard these transitions are will make this transition into these kind of jobs a little bit more realistic. So the traditional model for success is, you get some success, you maybe get your first or second promotion, you become vice chair, and then you're like, okay, now that I'm vice chair, it's very logical that I start to become chair. I want to flip this. I want to say it doesn't matter where you are. You should very clearly know where you want to be. And cut the steps in the middle and just go straight for where you want to be. So the other myth, and this is inspired by the book called The Happiness Equation, is that people think, if I become a chair, I'd be really, really happy. People will think I'm an amazing radiologist, and my family will just magically think that I'm an amazing husband or dad. And I think it's actually the reverse. I think if you start with a happy family, find a job that works best for your family. I think great work is bound to happen. And when you're doing good work, success will follow, whether it's being chair or something else that it would look like. So with that, I end my case, and I got you there in 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Thank you.